It may seem like a long time, but it is not a long time since we last presented an episode on Calibishie Chronicle. Although 6 weeks is long, so let me agree that it has been long, especially for those people who religiously follow the episodes and always give helpful feedback and insights as to what they feel about the production, and those who offer ideas to even make the production bigger and to take it further. I receive requests or inquiries, suggestions that the Calibishie Chronicle should be a podcast, and I was told that there are people who might have been interested in it and what I should do to get the podcast going. I have never done a podcast. I do not know what it is, but it is something that we probably will explore sometime in the future. I'm saying all of this to say that no, the dream of the Calibishie Chronicle has not died with time. Sometimes after a certain series of episodes, a season, you stop, you retool, and you get back. So we are into season 3 with the Calibishie Chronicle episode, and from my calculation, this is episode number 97, I think. If I'm not correct, I will place the correct caption when this one is actually being scheduled, but we are somewhere 96, 97 in terms of episodes, and we continue to tell the stories based on my perspective growing up in Calibishie. And I'm using the decade of the 80s as a marker because that is the decade that I think I can remember well. Although I remember a bit earlier, but I didn't have the command of the issues before as I did in the 1980s. So that is the decade that we are staging the Chronicle at, and every now and then we go beyond in terms of relating stories of my mother, my grandmother, and others, and then we discuss contemporary issues, tying it with our foundational time at which we look at the issues happening in Calibishie in the 1980s. I also use the opportunity to highlight certain key characters from the Calibishie community, and every now and then I will do that. I will invoke a name or two in terms of telling the story or the stories. Now, I said initially that we tell stories, not story or Tory. Tory or stories can be things that I just made up. Stories are experiences that we go through every day, and we all have stories, and we should tell them, and tell them as truthfully as we can, even if those stories are not true. But it is stories which have made us, and it is stories which will ground us, and it is stories which will channel us from the present to the future. It is simply that. A storyteller is an important person in any community. You could not build a nation on nothing. It has to be built on the past. And it is the stories, the narratives of the past that tells us who we are as a people. So let's hold on to the traditions of the past. Let's be pragmatic with the realities, and let us focus for the future. That's what we are doing with our episodes of program called Calibishie Chronicle. And again, as we start another season, I would like to say the only reason why I am messaging about Calibishie is because I felt a need to document my understanding of the Calibishie that I know and still know when I got my first sensibility. And even in retrospect, when I thought about and continue to think about the life that we lived in Calibishie and the life that we live now, there are of course obvious contrasts. I'm not saying that it was better then and it is worse now. No, I'm just placing a perspective of how things were, with the hope that how things are today can be tweaked a bit based on how things was, so that the future would be better for the future residents and generations of Calibishie, and by extension Dominica. So that's why I tell the stories. I won't even go to the point to say that those stories are apolitical, because everything is political, as we have said before. But it is certainly not partisan, and the stories are well intentioned. So welcome to a new series of Calibishie Chronicle, and you can expect a bit more frequency in terms of the episode until we come to an end of another season. Stand by. There are great things in store for this series.